They're just gonna glaze Trump. I know, but I like to listen to both sides. What can I say? Hey, man, it's a real freedom of speech platform. I don't care what side you on, left, right, in the middle, up in the air, down below. I don't really care where you're at with it. Hey, you can say what you want here, and we listen to whoever. But all right, let's get right into it with our guys over there at PBD. This is gonna be frustrating. But all right, though, let's get into it. Guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And if you have any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and send in a super chat or a gift, or if you know, like I said, if you just want to support the show, which would be much appreciated. But all right, let's get right into it.
I think the first story we're up to get into is the ceasefire. So last night, 2 days ago, matter of fact, let's go with the 2-day sequencing. First, the president tweets on Easter the following thing. Rob, go to the Easter one, because the Easter one is what pissed off a lot of different people. So this is Easter's tweet that the president puts up. He gets out there and says, Tuesday will be power plant day, bridge day, all wrapped up in one. In Iran, there will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise to Allah. At least he's giving credit to their, praise be to Allah. Donald J. Trump. Tucker Carlson reacts to this with a video that went viral. Everybody reacted to it. What is this all about? Tucker's right. Tucker's not right. Why would he say such a thing like this? Here's Tucker. Go for it, Rob.
You think you are? You're tweeting out the F word on Easter morning? You'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. You may have a problem with the theology. Presumably you do if it's not your religion, and you can explain what that is. But to mock other people's faith is to mock the idea of faith itself. And we should never mock that.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm with Tucker, though. I don't like the mocking of Christians. I don't like the mocking of Muslims. I don't like the mocking of, Jews. I really don't. Now, we can have we could poke fun, but if you legitly hate Christians, if you legitly hate Muslims, if you legitly hate Jews, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't rock with you on that note. I'm like, hold on there, but we can make jokes about them. But you legit hate them? Yeah, I can't rock with that. So, yeah, ain't no hate this way. But apparently, sometimes to be in MAGA, you got to hate Muslims, too. If you don't hate Muslims, you ain't MAGA. Am I wrong? That's why I chose America first.
Because at its core is the acknowledgement that we are not in charge of the universe. We did not build it. We won't be here at the end of it. We can destroy life. We cannot create it because we are not God. The message of all faith.
Okay, the biggest so you can posit that. And obviously, the folks on X went to town. Tucker's right, Tucker's wrong. Then they played the greatest hits in the past of Tucker criticizing Islam and saying, hey, what happened to you? Did you switch? Did you not? So the president, here's the message coming from the market. And you would think the next day the president would get a little bit more softer. And then this is what he says the following day with his tweets. And everyone's like, Pat, how come you don't react to this? This is not how a president speaks. Rob, if you want to pull up the wild one, a whole civilization will die tonight. Never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail.
Which is wild to sit there and say that. I mean, first off, no, we don't got regime change. Total regime change would mean that we're dealing, I don't know, basically we got the Shah in there. We got that guy, Revlahi, or whatever the hell his name is. What was it, the son of the Shah? Yeah, we'd have him in there if we had total regime change. But because we got more radical, mullahs, more radical hardliners, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not regime change. Actually, we might have strengthened the regime, if anything. Think about it. We killed all the moderates, and now we got nothing but hardliners. That sounds like we strengthened the regime. Oops.
Maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. So then that phrase got people reacting, saying, who in the history of mankind has ever said a whole civilization will end tonight? Which civilization? And people started speculating. Is it Iran? Is it this? Who's he talking about? Anyway, so that happens. And then it leads to the ceasefire, which the call happened yesterday based on a conversation with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Federal Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran, agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives.
And here's the problem. He's like halfway telling the truth, because he's right. It's supposed to be a double-sided ceasefire. But here's the thing, though. That includes Israel, because Israel jumped into this war with us. So, yeah, it's called the U.S.-Israeli-Iran war. Why? Because apparently Israel dragged us into this. So when they said both sides, yeah, on our side is U.S. and Israel, and on their side is Iran. So the fact that Israel popped off and attacked Lebanon, yeah, that broke the ceasefire. And it shows that we can't control our junior partner, which is wild.
Objectives, and we are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between U.S. and Iran, but a 2-week period would allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated on behalf of the United States of America. As president, also representing countries in the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. And then, of course, thank you for your attention to this matter. While this happens, minutes after this tweet happens, there's attacks. Iran attacks, I believe, bombs Israel. Israel attacks them. Jesse Waters retweeted a clip saying minutes after this was tweeted, and everybody reacted. Is the ceasefire going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I have my own strong thoughts on this. Is this it, Rob, that was shown?
Yes, sir.
Go for it. This is minutes after the president tweets that. Go ahead.
Well, Jesse, as anticipated, the sirens are now wailing over Tel Aviv, indicating that another missile is inbound. And it looks like those bright lights in the sky are the missiles. And it looks like you can see an interceptor that is in hot pursuit of the missiles. And it's always quite dramatic when you see those interceptors going after it. And these ones might disappear behind our building here, and we're going to lose sight of them. But they're still quite lethal and coming into Tel Aviv. And I didn't see an interception in this case. Should be able to hear it in a second or so.
You can pause it right here. Okay, so that's that. That's happening. So people are getting keep the ceasefire, all this other stuff. I'll pause here because we got a lot of other things that we'll get into with this here. Tom, your thoughts from the comments, first comments, his second comments, Tucker's comments, and then obviously the ceasefire today. And then, Colin, I'm going to come to you next.
Well, I think basically what happened over Easter weekend is President Kaiser Sose, Trump, really played a Kaiser Sose moment. And he's been negotiating this. He's had Witkoff negotiating this. Vance was in Budapest talking to Viktor Orban, which I think is very interesting because I think that's like a center point there between Putin, Ukraine, and this on both sides of it. And Orban can also talk to the Iranians. So what do I think happened? I think that perhaps Iran blinked. All of a sudden, we heard that they made a comment in a positive direction on nukes. After he's saying, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this. And the Kaiser Sose principle says the other side has to think that you're 1% crazier than they are so that they become nervous. And there's a lot of commentary that went around when Reagan was elected that there were people inside the Iranian government at that time, and it was an early government. It hadn't been around for 50 years. It was the now volatile government, but they actually thought Reagan was bonkers. They thought he was insane and willing to use, nukes and things, and that got the hostage crisis moving. So I think what happened is,
but why did that even happen? Like, can we bring it back to the beginning, to the 50s, where all the Iranians were trying to do was to make their resources work for themselves. They democratically elected a president to go in there and get them a better deal on their oil. Us and the Brits told them, hell nah. They voted the guy in. He starts giving them a good deal on their oil. And then we come in, overthrow that guy, put in the Shah. He's an authoritarian. He got a secret police, and he's selling out their resources to us and the Brits. And that's what we did to them, right? So they eventually start a revolution, get the Shah out. We bring in Khomeini. We actually greenlit Khomeini. Like, well, the Brits were suggesting him, like, look, we got the Ayatollah out here in France. We can go ahead and bring him in. He'll do a good job. And we didn't really know him too much. We just said, whatever, bro. We're just going to go with what you're doing. And yeah, we greenlight Khomeini. He came in. He led the revolution. And now we're here today with the Ayatollah in command. It is what it is. I mean, it's a problem that we started. This is why I always do say people like to leave out the history of these conflicts, because when you really go back to it, you're like, damn, we started this. Yeah, we did. And this is why we should just end it.
He went in with a hard negotiating position. I think Iran blinked a little bit and said, okay, let's discuss this. And I think there were other people working on it. I think China was working on it, because now we know China is in a crude oil deficit right now. They're in a shortage right now, and they're feeling true economic pinch. So I think then he comes out with this and finishing.
Look up Operation Ajax. All right, guys. And now I'll tell you everything you need to know. That's pretty much a CIA operation that we did to overthrow their government, to go ahead and place a guy that will pretty much sell out their resources and put them under oppression for us. So, yeah, I mean, come on, guys. It's like, it's kind of known at this point. Operation Ajax. Here it is. Let's see here. Yep, Operation Ajax, 1953, Iranian coup d'etat. It's kind of wild. But yeah, Prime Minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, was overthrown in a coup d'etat that strengthened the rule of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran. It was instigated by the United Kingdom under the name Operation Boots, and the United States CIA under the name Projects Ajax. I mean, Operation Ajax. A key motive was to project British oil interests in Iran after Mossadegh naturalized the country's oil industry. There you go. The facts right there. You can read about it, declassified. So, I mean, you have no reason to be ignorant at this point. It's all right there in front of you. It is no longer hidden like back in the day, like some of you boomers when this first popped off. So, yeah, there's no reason for ignorance no more. The facts are here. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get back to that video real quick. I know the MI6, man. MI6, CIA, Mossad, bro, they be on some BS. But shout out to my man Jet. He says all roads lead back to Britain since 1948 with Israel. Facts, since they want to go ahead and start selling land to the Rothschilds. Crazy.
It up, showing that he can say F you on one hand, but then at the other side, he's saying, God bless the people of Iran. He wants them to see that as well, Pat. He wants the citizens to see that last line.
Colin, where are you at with this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the tariff playbook, because he did a similar sort of negotiating tactic back last April, where he makes these very extreme, almost like seemingly very irrational positions. He goes really far to one side, probably doesn't really mean that. And it forces the other side to come to the middle a little bit. And this seems to be part of the Trump negotiating playbook, you know? So he's doing the same thing here. Is it the most diplomatic way to do all of this? I don't know. Probably not. But at the same time, I mean, this is probably, I mean, considering we're only about 6 weeks in, this is starting to look like about as good of an outcome as we could probably
Why
expect.
do you say that? I mean,
2 days ago, it seemed like, you know, maybe something really bad was going to happen, that this was going to escalate, that we were going to have boots on the ground. And so now you're getting into a position where it looks like this is really coming to a close. Everybody, I think, wanted an off-ramp for this thing, and here we are. So I think that, you know, that he did the same thing with if you remember the tariffs, he said 6 weeks. I'll make a 6-week deal with you. I'll make a 6-week deal with you. I'll make a 6-week deal with you. And he did that for months and months and months. And it was slowly an off-ramp for everybody getting off of the tariffs there. And the same thing's sort of happening here, where, you know, he says 2 weeks. I think, you know, frankly, I think this thing really, the market's probably bottomed a week ago. Oil probably peaked a week ago. So I think we were starting to find a bottom in a lot of this stuff. And that's going to play out. I mean, Trump is a master of building a wall of worry for the market. And so, all of this stuff is a persistent worry, but really markets.
See, I'm sorry, but it's dumb people like you, bro, that don't understand. So do you want now? But here's the thing. Now that I explained Operation Ajax and how we pretty much undermined the Iranian people since the 50s, do you understand now why they say death to America? They don't say it for no reason. They don't say it because we're a Christian country. They don't say it because we're free in our freedoms. No, they say it because we've effed with them multiple times and we've denied them their sovereignty as a people from getting in on their own oil profits. That's why they yell death to America and death to Israel. That's why they say it. It's not because they hate American people and they want to kill all of us. They hate our government. And Iranian people has actually said that out loud multiple times where they said, yo, when we say death to America, it's not to the American people, but y'all government is on bullshit. And guess what? We even agree our government be on bullshit. So what are you even talking about?
Look ahead of that. The economy looks ahead of that.
Yeah, it's true. And Rob, if you want to pull up the Market Watch numbers, crude oil is down $20, okay, from 112 to 92, down 18%. Dow Jones futures up 2.7, S&P futures up 2.67, NASDAQ futures up 3.5, gold is up 3%, up to $4,800, silver's up 7.73%, and then you have Bitcoin is up to $71,000. And some of the stuff that's happening. But Brandon, do you have a opposing opinion on? Okay, I want to hear that. Go for it.
Sure do.
Go ahead.
So, listen, I'm supporting Trump. I hope like everything he does is the best thing for the country. I support him this whole time and everything, but I think he stumbled upon the fact here that we've put ourselves in the terrible position of not being equipped to deal with a situation like this. Ukraine went through, I believe, 10 years of weapons that were built in the first 5 weeks of the Ukraine war. So we've been seeing in the headlines for the last 4 years, there's huge shortages of these defense missiles we've been using. And I don't think we have the capacity to keep this up for much longer. The oil is the one thing, but yeah, sure, we're the best military in the world. We have the most advanced technology, but we've had our manufacturing hollowed out over the last.
And it's so crazy now. So now you guys want to admit that we don't have any missiles for real, that we're running low on our stockpile. After the article came out with our general, the general pretty much saying that, yeah, Trump, our main concern here is our weapon stockpile that we have kind of no way of replenishing. So there's that. And now you guys want to sit there and finally admit to your audience that, yeah, we're running out of missiles. And I've been yelling that from the rooftop since, well, sadly, week 1 of the war.
Several decades. So that's the most unsettling thing to me. I think that's what we need to be putting our effort in behind the scenes, is to ramp that back up, because we're not in a position to carry this out if we wanted to. So yes, I agree that the Kaiser Soze thing, I don't think Trump's crazy or unhinged or rag. I think he was acting that way to try to scare them into something that was palatable, but I don't think this is an optimal outcome at all. I think we're in a worse situation than we were before he started this thing, because now Iran has realized, okay, we could flip this switch of shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, which they didn't even blockade.
I guess I might as well give somebody asks, like, why do you have 2 lives going? Oh, I got a vertical and a horizontal live going to give you guys different viewer experience. So if you want a better viewing experience, you can go over to my horizontal live, and you'll be able to see the screen better and all that good stuff. Some people like it like that, or some people prefer the vertical. So depending on how you like to view the show, I got both options open.
They just have the mere threat of a drone hitting a ship that's going through. So it's not like they're moving ships out of the way when you say they're clearing the strait. They're just promising not to drone strike any boats that go through. So I don't even know if boats are going to have the courage to go through it, even though they're saying, yeah, there's a ceasefire. Yeah, we're not going to do anything to you.
So who wins from this? Because for me, Trump's negotiation, when people are like, I can't believe he said this, I can't believe he said, stop being surprised with what he says. I mean, he made that, you should have already been baptized to that in 2015 when he started campaigning on this stuff. They're rapists, they're sending their wars, they're this. He's been doing a shock job, to get people to react to it for a long time. So I do think you have to act crazier. I do think you have to act like you have nothing to lose. I do think you have to kind of come from that strength position, and especially when you're dealing with people from Iran. That part I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But I just sent a poll to Rob, and I want to see what our audience is going to say, because our audience is fairly reasonable. Who do you think won in this ceasefire? Iran, U.S., or too early to tell?
Iran's in a better position than they were before because they have more leverage over the U.S. and the rest of the world now.
Do you agree, Tom?
No.
Tell me why.
I think Iran agreeing to a ceasefire I don't know. You see how you say they win, because basically we're about to escalate from military targets, and we hit another military target on Karg Island 2 days ago. So they know what's coming, and they know what's next. And you're talking about power plants. You're talking about that. You're talking about the pumping station on Karg Island.
Let's see what y'all mind that.
They're one step from that. And so do they win technically? Yeah, they win not being more fully destroyed, but I don't think they win anything in a ceasefire, because we're not saying I've had enough, let's have a ceasefire. We're saying to them, have you had enough? Do you want a ceasefire? Have you had enough?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. But think about it like this: like, how frequently do we disagree with Iran in terms of they want something, we want something different? Pretty frequently, right? So they've now realized that they could simply put out the threat.
God, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support, by the way, and make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, guys. Appreciate it. Let's keep it going.
Of, hey, anything that goes through the Strait of Hormuz, we're gonna knock it out. We're gonna hit it with a drone and shut down global traffic there. Like, they didn't have that before, and we wanted them to stop doing that and couldn't make them stop by brute force. That's an objective fact. I don't think we were able to do that. I think we would have done that if we were able to do it.
So you're saying, okay, so let me give some stats here. 92% of Iran's largest vessels destroyed. That's 140 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Iran's missile drone attack rate down 90% from week one. The death rate for Iran.
Bro, they hit most of their targets. That's why, I mean, it's kind of wild to sit here and say, well, they're firing less rockets. Well, like I said, one, they hit most of their targets. And two, well, according to U.S. intelligence, only a third of their stockpile has been diminished, a.k.a. only 33%. I mean, they still got a lot more to go, and most of it's underground that we can't reach.
Is that, I don't know, 10,000 killed, nearly 1,000 civilians, 7,000 military personnel. That's for the first 34 days. We're at what days right now? We're at
39, I believe.
39 days. Okay, so 4 million people have displaced, 3.2 million in Iran, 1.2 million in Lebanon. So when you look at that, and then the argument, Tom, is made by some people saying, I do think you just gave Iran a 2-week timeout. And that 2-week timeout is for them to go out there and figure out other ways on what to do with Russia and China, because this negotiation was involving who? Pakistan.
I mean, give them 2 weeks. I mean, you know what? That 2 weeks movie might actually have some relevance to it. That, man, hey, actually might, try to get, I don't know, Pakistan, Russia, China. Maybe they can help them, make a nuke real quick within the 2 weeks, since everybody likes to say they're 2 weeks away. And here's the thing. Like, the religious fatwa back in, 2004, I believe, that Khamenei put in. Yeah, we don't know if that still stands since we blew him up. And we don't know if his son still holds those ideas of that, having a nuke is a crime against humanity. We don't know if those ideas still stand. So it's kind of to be continued. And we really don't. Look, before this war, we knew if they were going towards a bomb or not. Now, after this war, well, we don't know. And here's the thing, most likely because, the whole reason why they didn't make a weapon or a nuclear weapon is because we didn't attack them. And their whole thing was, look, we'll just keep this 60% as a deterrent so you don't attack us. And if you do, then we might go ahead and make that bomb. And, look where we're at. So let's see what happens.
Is the one that brokered it. They said China made a phone call to get Iran to kind of be like, hey, listen, this is a good thing for you to do. So China was involved in helping with this. But what do you think Iran's going to be doing next 2 weeks?
I think China's the winner, actually. It's funny you mentioned them because, I mean, you look at everybody in the room here, China all of a sudden looks like the adult in the room. And I think their negotiating position in terms of everything involving Taiwan, I mean, that's my big worry. I typically look at big geopolitical risks like this, the tariffs last year, even this thing I said, this can't last. This won't last more than a few weeks. It's just politically, it can't. You can't go into the midterms with $4 gasoline.
Hey, nah, bro, that's
and 6.5%.
That's the most backward statement ever. It's like, you know what? You're right on a lot of things, but you're deceitful and dishonest and a little treasonous. What? I'm treasonous because I'm telling you the truth? And that's the problem with some of you soft-ass guys. Some of y'all softies get mad when somebody tell y'all the truth, and now you're like, now you don't got that, America's in the right every time we do something. Yeah, you lost that argument, and now you want to call somebody treasonous and un-American because you lost your whole, America, I'm the American hero bit. Like, sorry, bro, but not everything's a fucking comic book like you fantasize it to be. You're not Captain America. We're not Captain America every time we swing our dick in the Middle East. Get over it. Because I gave you the background about what's going on. Don't get mad. Don't make me un-American. It just means that you're lacking knowledge and you're willfully ignorant. And you want to be willfully ignorant because you want to believe the bullshit. Because it makes you feel good at night. I bet it does.
Say mortgage rates. It's impossible. It's a narrative killer. And so, but the geopolitical risk that is extremely worrisome in the long run is China going into Taiwan, because it disrupts so many things. That has the potential to turn into such a big flare-up. China's position, I think, across the board has strengthened sequentially across time as we get closer and closer to that potential inevitability.
Yeah, and by the way, while this is happening, Israel's like, look, Netanyahu says he backs Trump's ceasefire with Iran, but he says the deal excludes Lebanon. Why would he say that, Tom?
Because he's working on creating a buffer zone in Lebanon similar to what they created in Gaza. Really? I mean, let's just objectively look at the attacks. Let's look at where it is, and that's what's going on. And what did he have in the hills of Lebanon up there on the northern border? He had problems. He had a combination of independent and Hezbollah had strike areas up there. You can check me on that. But I think what he's looking at is saying, listen, Iran was funding and arming Hezbollah. They were here in my backyard on the northern border. I'm going to go.
Yeah, but what you're forgetting, Tom, is that there was a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah that Israel broke now 3 times. 3 times now. So what are you talking about? And here's the problem. Israel pretty much did preemptive strikes on Iran and did a preemptive strike in southern Lebanon, aka breaking their ceasefire again. So I'm sorry, but there really is no way to excuse this.
Take care of this as part of taking care of Iran. Now, you don't have to agree or disagree with Israel, Pat, but that's what they said. And so they're saying, I'm not done with these guys over here, Hezbollah. I regard them as my problem across from my border. They're in Lebanon, tough. I'm going to finish this. And I think that's what Israel is saying. Whether you agree or disagree.
Then I'd have been like this. All right, we know I'm about to do. How about this? I'm about to back out of this war, and you can go ahead and fight Iran and Hezbollah by your damn self. It's either that or you'll calm your happy ass down. Pick which one. It'd have been as easy as that. And I'm pretty sure Israel would have settled their ass down because they don't want to get fired on by Iran, Hezbollah, and the Houthis all at once. Because actually too late. It's already happening. So I'm sorry, but please, Israel, sit your ass down. Like, we could have had a nice little ceasefire for a good 2 weeks, but you just had to attack Lebanon. And the thing is, they knew that Lebanon was included in the ceasefire. They knew that. And the wild thing is, the only reason why Hezbollah even exists is because you guys keep trying to take southern Lebanon. Like, Hezbollah was born out of the fact that you guys occupied southern Lebanon. You created these terrorists. And they also funded Hamas as well, but we'll get into that later.
They're creating a buffer.
You know, it's kind of annoying.
What's that?
I mean, wasn't this something that they care deeply about, what was happening with Iran? Israel.
You talking about Israel?
Yeah, and something they were kind of invested in terms of like
sure.
care about the outcome.
You think Israel is happy about the ceasefire?
I don't, but I'm not happy about the fact that they had any attention at all on a whole different country, different conflict, when we were doing something that was helpful for them. Like, shouldn't they be allocating the resources to do everything they could to help us? I know they were taking out some leaders with precision airstrikes and everything, but I mean, you shouldn't be sending your resources to something completely different, unrelated, if you have this big thing that you're supposedly invested in.
Tom, what do you think?
So what do I think? I think that 2 things about Israel in this. I thought they should have been participating, and I thought they were selective about, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put boots in the ground over here, but I'm going to do this over here. Wait a minute. You were lobbying for this. You had intelligence. You had your own Mossad. This is not a dispute, what I'm about to say. You had multiple Mossad mini camps and infiltrators all through the arid regions of Iran that were snooping out where you had, training facilities, small drone airstrips, all these things. And you had buckets of this intelligence, and you're out there and you've openly said, I want this Iran to be put down because they were funding Hezbollah and Hamas that were causing problems for me right here. Regardless of whether you agree or disagree with their intelligence reports, they were already there. So why don't you step up and be part of the solution that is actually benefiting you? And I thought they should have. I think it's kind of selective, Pat, in my opinion, to say, well, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to do that. Oh, you ceasefire over there. Thanks for your help. Wait a minute. Israel complicated the first 2 weeks of the war when they killed more people than they had told us that they were aiming at. That's a fact. And even Trump said, well, there was a couple guys we kind of like.
They keep killing them.
And they keep killing them. Yeah. Who's they? Yeah. Trump was saying that. He said, well, there was one guy
here's the problem, though. Israel's been known for, trying to take out negotiators. Like I said, the reason why they bombed Doha, Qatar was to take out a Hamas negotiator. Like, only reason they did it. And that's all they try to do is try to take out negotiators so you can get no negotiating, so the conflict keeps going. Because Israel didn't really want to cease fire with Hamas. No, they wanted to keep it going and completely destroy Gaza. Well, I'll be real with you. They kind of already did. Like 70% of Gaza has been leveled. I mean, buildings, trees, farms, all reduced to dirt.
What we liked. Like, even he wasn't sure, but he said, but they killed him.
Yeah.
So,
so you can't.
Sorry to rant, Pat.
No, I'm with you. But you think in a situation like this, Israel's sitting around saying, I'm glad the ceasefire happened?
No.
Or you think they're sitting around saying, let's finish this because we could have just emboldened Iran to give a timeout for them to go back and re-strategize?
They'd like to see a lot of these neighbors gone.
Israel.
I think they would have liked to. Frankly,
specifically
I
Iran,
been jerking us around. I think they roped us into this whole thing, and they would have loved to see this go on for a much longer time period than it has here. So I don't know. I look at it and I keep coming back to, why are we fighting their fight in a lot of ways here? They're big boys. They've got big guns. They've got big missiles.
And here's the thing, though. Destabilizing Iran, which damn near will be regime change, is not going to help us. That helps Israel. That helps Israel expands their borders because now they're the most dominant. They're literally the most dominant country in the Middle East. The only thing that keeps Israel in check is Iran. And that's pretty much it. Period, point blank. The only thing that keeps Israel from expanding into other countries is Iran. So Iran is like literally the necessary evil in the Middle East. And trust me, I don't like their government. I don't like the mullahs, the ayatollahs. I don't like them. But when it comes to kind of keeping Israel in check and not just destroying or throwing the Middle East into, mayhem, Iran's kind of helping us out with that. Or honestly, they're helping keep the Middle East in balance. And if you take out Iran, as much as it's going to feel good inside, 5-10 years down the line, the blowback is going to be insane. And the entire Middle East is just going to be, it's going to be done for. It's literally going to be done for. Like, how done for? Yeah.
Too. So I don't know why they needed us to come in and start fighting their fight, because they're perfectly capable of fighting this.
How many military bases do we have around the Gulf? How many military bases do we have around the Gulf, Rob? What's the number?
At least a few dozen, probably.
Yeah, the problem is the number used to be we had 780 military bases around the world. Okay. I don't know what the numbers around Gulf. I want to know exactly how many military bases does the U.S. have in the Gulf? And the only reason I'm saying this, I'm looking at this, because to answer your question, for U.S. to be involved, if you wonder if Israel attacks Iran and the war is one-on-one, what is Iran going to do?
Win.
Well, not Iran's going to win. How would Iran retaliate if it's 1v1?
Against Israel?
If it's a 1v1 war, okay, it says 8 to 10 major U.S. military bases in the Gulf region.
I'm sorry.
Is what we have 2 in Qatar.
Yeah, if Israel and Iran was to go one-on-one, I'm be real with you. If Israel don't use a nuke, then Iran's going to win.
1 in Bahrain. Rob, go a little bit lower to see how many in Kuwait. 3 in Kuwait, 1 in UAE, 1 in Saudi. So you wonder, because what is Iran done so far with the war? You attack them. What do they attack? Gulf states.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want the Gulf states to call and say, hey, man, now we're being impacted by it. Can you guys?
No, that is hilarious. Iran never started a war. Like, that is absolutely that is true. Iran never started anything. You know who started a lot of problems in the Middle East, though? Israel. They started it with Egypt. They started it with Jordan. They started it with Lebanon. They started it with Syria. Who haven't they got into it with in the Middle East at this point?
Stop. Mm-hmm. So
Dude, they coming for Turkey next.
They're like, hey, you're hitting me. Those are your best friends. I'm hitting them because they're weaker than you. And I'm saying, hey, hit those guys. And then they're calling him and they're saying, hey, Tom, this is getting a little bit out of control, man. I just got hit by this. How long do you think you're going to do this, Tom? How long are you going to go about this? So they know he's not going to listen.
They were putting pressure on MBS. They were all calling MBS.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, I think this is a part where Iran figured out what buttons to press to get the call back. And look, here's the reality of with the president. Vinny showed me something very important this morning. He says, look, and we've been kind of talking about this, but he says if Trump brokers a peace deal, Trump's a taco. Okay?
Which is wild.
If he brokers a peace deal. What a sissy. Cannot believe this. Iran won. If he drops a bomb.
I'm gonna be real with you. Look, I'll sit there and congratulate him, but Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and Laura Loomer are gonna say, "Oh, he's an idiot. He capitulated to the terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Want, cry more." And that's exactly what they're gonna do. On this side, we're gonna be like, "Hey, man, conflict over, man. Let's get to domestic issues, please."
On him, he's a what? War criminal. If he, didn't get involved, he's weak. So the reality of it is anybody who is critical of Trump, those that no matter what he does, he's never going to be getting the victory, period. But he knows in this situation, what his outcome is and what he wants to do. Nobody really knows how this is going to go. I will tell you, if it goes ceasefire, and right now the 10 points that they're talking about, who knows if these 10 points are right or not. I'm just saying these are the 10 points that are spreading. Number one is no further U.S. attacks on Iran.
Yep.
Number two, Iran keeps control of Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, that is a lot of power to give to lots of power.
That's what I'm saying they win.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power to Strait of Hormuz. Recognition of Iran's nuclear enrichment rights.
They're right there.
Lift all sanctions. End UN and IAEA resolutions against Iran. Release frozen Iranian assets. U.S. withdrawal forces from the region. Compensation for Iran's war damages. Formal non-aggression guarantees. Binding UN Security Council agreement. People are saying this is not true, but this is what's spreading. So what I'm reading to you is what a lot of people are saying, that this is what's on the line.
Right.
But we're going to see what's going to be negotiated. If it comes out and they get anywhere close to this, Iran won.
Yeah, 100%.
Iran won in a big way. And then guess what happens?
I mean, yeah, bro. If we get to a peace deal and Iran has control of the Strait of Hormuz, and that's how they're getting the reparations. I mean, and they get the sanctions lifted, bro. I mean, at that point, we might as well have put them back under the JCPOA or a stricter version of it. If this was going to be the turnout of going to war with them, like, we might as well did things the diplomatic way. We'd have got a lot better deal. But I mean, hopefully that's not the turnout, because that's just going to be terrible for Trump.
You think they're going to sit on the sidelines and not do anything the next 2-3 decades?
No.
I don't think so. I think they just got bolder. I think they just got tougher. I think they just got stronger. And they're going to come out and timing, just, especially if this kind of income is not going to be coming in every year. What types of weapons do you think they're going to have in their arsenal?
Oh, yeah.
What type of investments do you think they're going to be making? What do you think they're going to go back to doing? You think they're just going to sit and not?
Oh, God, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. And I believe we're like, what? Oh, yeah, we're inching towards the goal. Like I said, if we hit goal, I'll go ahead and I'll open up the StreamYard so we can have some of you guys come up here and either tell me why I'm wrong or tell me why I'm right. Hey, I'm happy to have anybody on. And shout out to my man Noah Joyner helping us to get ever so closer. He says, Israel won't use nukes on Iran. They want the land way too much to wait for nuclear radiation. I mean, I ain't like you cooking with that one. Yeah, that's why I kind of said if they was to take them up top and like not use a nuke, then yeah, they're gonna get cooked. They're gonna get cooked by Iran. I mean, ground invasion on Iran, they're gonna get cooked. I mean, sure they'll have air superiority, but Iran got those hypersonic missiles, and that's gonna cook them. So yeah, 1-on-1, Iran would pretty much crush Israel, sadly. Like any other Middle Eastern country, Israel would wipe the floor with them, but not Iran. And that's why they want Iran out the way, because Iran's really the only guys that could check them.
Do anything about it? You know how they said the money that was sent to him, to Iran, that, hey, he was going to build bridges, he was going to do this to Iran. All those monies went to what? Weapons. They were waiting. Some of it went to them, some of it went to. So I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. I'm not a fan of the ceasefire. Right now, I'm not. I just think ceasefires are not going to be kept by anybody. I think we claim we agreed to a ceasefire, and what did we do? We attacked. Iran claimed, and then boom, same thing happened with Ukraine and Russia. Remember how many times I said, we agreed to a ceasefire, instantly, hours later, there was an attack. So I don't know how much. Historically, ceasefires have never worked. Okay. Historically.
Can I recommend an idea to the president?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
So, one of the most controversial things of all time, I think would work perfectly here. The Iran-Contra affair, where we built an arms manufacturing base secretly in a place close to to Nicaragua to send arms to the rebels to help them overtake the communist regime. So, need to build an arms manufacturing facility in something like Saudi Arabia, somewhere close by, and just get as many guns as possible into Iran, into the hands of.
We already tried that. Well, you know what? I'm not sure if we tried that. Maybe not that large of a number, but we basically already tried that with the CIA and Mossad. Yeah, with the protests. Yeah, we brought weapons into those protests, and that's why those protesters were shooting back at police. Because in Iran, citizens aren't allowed to have guns. But what the Mossad and CIA did was run guns into Iran and start handing them out at start giving them out to protesters. And then, yeah, that's why there were, the bodies of the protesters that was killed, God rest their souls. Yeah, some of them, you could actually see bullet wounds that came from the back of them, AKA while the IRC was shooting from in front of them, they had protesters shooting at the IRGC and the Iranian police from the back of them. And they were pretty much getting sandwiched in between bullets. I mean, gruesome, but that's pretty much what was happening.
Citizens there, because it's not going to be like, when you say, what does like finishing the thing look like? How do you finish them? You can take out as many leaders as you want, but there's still 25% of the population that supports the IRCG. So there's always going to be somebody that pops up and will take the leadership. So it needs to be a civil war type of situation. Right now, the population that's against the regime isn't equipped for a civil war. So if we could equip them for a civil war, it's not something that happens overnight.
How you do it, though? Go ahead and do it.
Put an arms manufacturing facility as close as possible to Iran and smuggle it in. It's a long-term thing, not something that's going to happen overnight. But aside from that, yeah, the two options are either let them win or just nuke the country. So because you kill as many leaders.
No, literally, bro. Trump I couldn't believe Trump admitted that about the Kurds, though. How we were thinking about bringing the Kurds in and all this crazy stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, we didn't bring the Kurds in, but we did give them guns and they ran off with the guns. I was like, bro, Trump, why'd you say that? You could have left that out. I don't need to know about that failure of a mission, because trust me, I'm pretty sure the Kurds saw what we tried with the protesters and they were like, bro, we're not trying to be them. And you've done it, bro. You left us out to dry before. So why would we trust you? I mean, it kind of goes to show, like, America, we don't really hold our promises well. Be real with you.
Here's as you want, but there's still
not too
millions of people.
Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Day one of the war versus today.
Well, the
government. Do you think the world is looking at Iran and they're saying how weak they are? Or do you think they're looking at Iran and saying, okay, they're more capable and strategic than we thought we are? What do you think the world is saying?
They have more power than we thought. And part of that is
what do you think?
Yeah, I think that they're more resilient than I thought.
Right.
It's taken a long time to take it to this level, and they're still kind of standing. This is surprising. I think that's what they're saying. And by the way, Iran already has an arms manufacturing factory. It's called China. And if you don't think that by the way,
for itself, though, for the government.
Well, you asked me who I thought won the ceasefire. That's different from whether I think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. And number one. And number two, I think we've just given them a training. So now they're going to figure out different techniques to use. And they're going to figure out ways to do it. And if this is really impacting China's economy, then guess what? China is the arms manufacturing factory that's going to help Iran.
But that's the helping the government. I'm talking about smuggling weapons to the citizens there. Like, we need a rebel group to form that's against the government. Like, that's not for the IRCG. So that's what I'm saying with that. But
but going back to it.
I mean, I don't know, bro. Where you get that strategy from Mark Levin? Because bro was saying the same thing on Fox, talking about, we need to start arming the Iranians. We need to arm them. I mean, here's a problem, guys. You guys are running on this fantasy that, it's an 80-20. So you think that we're going to put a whole bunch of guns into Iran and what? These guys are going to take them and overthrow their government? You're delusional. I'm sorry, but there's at least 30 million people who support their government. How do I know that? From their elections in 2024, 30 million people voted. 61 million people registered to vote. And you want to know why that's a big deal? Because the IRGC, not the IRGC, but the Ayatollah, he literally controls who becomes president. He controls all 5 candidates. He gets to choose them and decides if they're, I guess, safe enough to run the country. So you're telling me that 61 million people signed up for an election ran by the Ayatollah? So what does that say? That means, A, is either they support the regime or they're willing to tolerate the regime enough to participate in an election for the president. So I'd rather go with the number of about 30 to 60 million people that most likely support this government, but the regime. And believe it or not, Iran does have elections. They do have elections for the president. But once again, like I said, all presidential candidates are chosen by the Ayatollah. So, still controlled.
So if you're talking about doing that, what I'm trying to say is the following. If, like the war with Ukraine and Russia, when they started attacking, what was the first thing everybody thought?
Russia's going to win.
Russia's going to what?
They're just going to walk in and take all that country back. Humpty Dumpty USSR is getting rebuilt.
What happened?
It became a quagmire.
But why, though? This is different. These are two different stories, but similar. The reason why it's different is who had Ukraine's back?
All of Europe and the U.S.
and
democratic regime.
So Russia was by themselves. Of course, they got
but Russia didn't really have the ability to, close the Strait of Hormuz, okay? That's the difference. Russia didn't have the ability to close a crucial pathway for trade. They didn't have that ability.